The morning Day left for the south. The air was bright and calm, the kind of morning that made everything feel safe. Huyen helped him pack a small bag, his clothes, some rice cakes for the road, and, most importantly, the envelope holding his ID and the papers for the missing motorbike. "Be careful, Day," she said softly, her hands lingering on the handle of his bag. "Call me when you get there, all right?" "I will," he smiled. "Don't worry. It's just to collect the bike. I'll be back in a few days." Maya stood by the doorway, hugging her stuffed rabbit. Her face, a mix of pride and sadness. "Uncle D, buy me a toy when you come back, okay?" He bent down, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "Of course, my little one. I'll bring you something special from the south." As the bus pulled away, Huyen and Maya waved until he disappeared down the dusty road. Day looked out the window, feeling warmth spread through his chest. For the first time in years, he had people waiting for him, a reason to return. The long journey stretched across miles of green rice fields and quiet villages. They sat silently, watching the landscapes change, mountains fading into plains, rivers glinting under the sun. It was the same road he had once traveled, searching for Huyen and Maya, when all he had was hope and an old battered map. Now he was traveling as a man who had found peace, or so he thought. At a small roadside stop, his phone rang. The number was unfamiliar. "Mr. Day?" a deep voice asked. "This is Officer Min from the Southern Police Department. We've just confirmed your motorbike has been moved to our temporary storage lot. Please come directly to our station in the Bing an area when you arrive. We'll send someone to meet you." De thanked him, relieved that things seemed to be going smoothly. But as he hung up, something about the call felt strange. The man's tone was polite but cold, almost rehearsed. He brushed it off and returned to his seat. Maybe he was just imagining things. After all, it had been a long journey. Hours later, the bus entered the city. The sky had turned grey, and the air carried the smell of rain. A man in a dark jacket stood waiting at the station entrance, holding a small sign with Dee's name on it. "You must be Mr. Day," the man said with a polite smile. "I was sent to bring you to the police lot. It's not far." Dee nodded, following him toward a car parked nearby. But as he got in, his stomach tightened. There were no police markings, no identification tags, just a plain black vehicle with tinted windows. Still, he said nothing. The man started the engine, glancing at him through the rearview mirror. "You've come a long way, haven't you?" he said casually. "Yes," Dee replied quietly. "Just hoping to get my bike back." The man smiled again, but this time the smile didn't reach his eyes. Outside, the rain began to fall, the roads narrowing into quieter, emptier streets. Day looked out at the unfamiliar city and felt, for the first time that day, a chill crawl up his spine. Something wasn't right. Rain drummed harder against the windows as the car rolled deeper into narrow, unfamiliar streets. The man driving hadn't spoken much since they left the station, and Dee's gut told him something was off. "Is the police station much farther?" Day asked, trying to sound calm. "Not far," the man said shortly, eyes fixed on the road. "Just a shortcut." Day glanced outside. The scenery had changed, no more busy roads or shops. Just silent warehouses and overgrown fields. The smell of rust and wet concrete filled the air. His fingers tightened around the bag on his lap. A shortcut to where? He wondered. Suddenly, the car stopped at an abandoned intersection. The driver turned off the engine and looked at him through the mirror, his face now stripped of any friendliness. "Mr. D," he said slowly, "you've been looking for something, haven't you?" D frowned. "I came here for my motorbike, that's all." The man gave a short laugh. "Of course, the motorbike." He turned around, resting an elbow on the seat. "Tell me, does the name Thuc mean anything to you?" De froze. That name Huyen's ex-husband, the man who had once made her life hell, the one they thought was gone for good. "What do you want?" Day asked, his voice low. "Oh, nothing," the man said with a smirk. "Just a message. You see, someone's been looking for you. And your little family." Dee's heartbeat pounded in his ears. "You're lying. That was arrested. He's... People like him," the man interrupted, leaning closer. "Don't stay behind bars for long." Before Day could react, the man's phone rang. He stepped outside to answer, his voice muffled by the rain. Dee's hands trembled slightly as he scanned the car-locked doors, tinted windows, no escape. He had to think fast. When the man got back in, Day was silent, pretending to stay calm. The car started again, now heading toward a more deserted road. I don't know what this is about, Dee said quietly, but if you're trying to threaten me, it won't work. The man chuckled. Threaten? No, Mr. D. I'm just doing my job. Someone paid well to make sure you deliver a message back north. A warning. About what? About staying out of things that aren't yours, especially her. Day's jaw clenched. You mean Huyen? The man grinned. You really should have stayed out of that woman's life. Day's patience snapped. He lunged forward, grabbing the man's shoulder, forcing the car to swerve. The tires screeched, and the vehicle slid off the road, crashing into a ditch. Smoke rose from the hood. The driver cursed, trying to reach for something under his seat, but Day was faster. He yanked the door open, stumbled into the rain, and ran. Behind him, the man shouted, You can't hide forever, Dee. He knows where she is. Dee didn't stop. His breath came in ragged bursts as he sprinted through the muddy field, heart pounding. The rain washed the dirt from his face, but not the dread from his mind. They know about Huyen, about Maya. He had come south to recover a motorbike, but now he realized that was never the plan. It was a trap. They hid beneath an old bridge, soaked and trembling. The man's words echoed in his head. He knows where she is. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and called Huyen, but there was no signal. A small roadside shop was still open. Inside, he asked for a phone to make a call. Are you Mr. D? The shopkeeper asked suddenly, eyeing him nervously. A man came here looking for you. He left this. It was a small envelope, wet and crumpled. Inside, a single note read, Go home if you still want to see them safe. Day's breath caught. His mind went cold. Whoever had orchestrated this wanted him back north, not for the motorbike, but for something far darker. Without a second thought, he grabbed the next northbound truck, ignoring the rain, the fatigue, the fear. All he could think of was one thing. Huyen and Maya are in danger. The truck roared through the night, headlights cutting across sheets of rain. Dee sat in the back, gripping the wet edge of the seat, his mind racing faster than the wheels. Every minute felt like an hour. He could almost see Huyen's face, her quiet smile. Maya's laughter and the thought of losing them burned in his chest. When dawn broke, he jumped off near the village road and started running. The air smelled of smoke. His heart nearly stopped. From afar, he saw people gathered near his house shouting, pointing. The small chicken coop was in ashes, and the fence was broken. Huyen, he shouted, pushing through the crowd. A neighbor caught his arm. They came last night, 2 men. Huyen and the little girl ran into the forest. Mr. Tu went after them. Day's face turned pale. He didn't wait for another word. He ran into the forest, rain and fear pounding in his ears, praying he wasn't too late. Branches whipped against Dee's face as he tore through the forest, calling their names again and again. Huyen! Maya! His voice broke into the wind and rain. Only the sound of rustling leaves and distant thunder answered him. He slipped on the muddy slope, but didn't stop. Every second mattered. Please be safe, he whispered in his mind, over and over like a prayer. Then, faintly, he heard a small cry somewhere ahead. It was Maya. Uncle Day! Over here! He followed the voice, stumbling through a curtain of rain until he saw a flicker of movement near a large fallen tree. Maya was crouched there, soaked to the bone, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Beside her, Huyen knelt, shielding the girl with her arms. When Huyen looked up and saw him, her eyes filled with relief and terror. Day! They're still here! I saw them 2 men near the stream! Dee's gaze darted toward the dark outline of the riverbank. He could see them now, 2 silhouettes moving between the trees. Stay low, he whispered, pulling a branch from the ground. His pulse thundered in his ears. Don't move until I say. One of the men stepped closer, his voice sneering through the rain. You can't run forever, Huyen. He just wants a word. Tell him, Dee shouted back, stepping into the open. If he ever comes near her again, he'll regret it. The men froze for a moment, surprised. Then one lunged forward, swinging a metal pipe, deblocked it with the branch. The sound cracked through the forest. Pain shot up his arm, but he didn't care. He fought with everything he had for Huyen, for Maya, for the life they had tried so hard to rebuild. When one of the attackers slipped in the mud, De pushed him back hard. The man fell, hitting his head on a rock with a dull thud. The other cursed, grabbed his companion and ran into the rain. For a long moment, only silence remained, broken by Maya's sobs. De turned, chest heaving, his body trembling from exhaustion. Huyen rushed to him, holding his face in her hands. De, you're hurt. He smiled faintly. I'm fine. You and Maya, that's what matters. She broke down then, clutching his soaked shirt, tears mingling with rain. I thought we'd lose you again. He wrapped his arms around her. Never, not again. Behind them, Mr. Tu appeared with 2 village men carrying lanterns. We called the police, he said breathlessly. Those bastards won't get far. As the storm began to fade, the small group walked back towards the village, their feet sinking into the wet earth. The first light of morning spread through the trees, soft, golden, forgiving. At the edge of the forest, Maya looked up at Day and whispered, Uncle Day, are we safe now? De knelt, brushing her wet hair aside. Yes, little one, you're safe now. Huyen looked at him quietly, her eyes filled not only with gratitude, but something deeper, unspoken. She reached out and held his hand, tightly, as if afraid to let go again. And as they stepped into the light together, leaving the darkness behind, Dee knew that this time, no matter what lay ahead, he would never let anything tear their small family apart again. Every journey teaches something not just about the world, but about the heart. For Day, the trip to the south was meant to be simple, a way to recover a lost motorbike. Yet what he found instead was the truth about trust, love, and the dangers hidden behind appearances. He realized that kindness and hope can sometimes make a person blind to deceit. The lost bike was only bait, a cruel trap to draw him away from the people he cared about most. But through fear and exhaustion, Dee discovered what truly mattered, not possessions or pride, but the fragile safety of those he loved. When he ran through the forest that night, chasing after Huyen and Maya in the storm, Day was not just running to save them. He was running toward the life he had longed for, one built on loyalty, courage, and the quiet strength to protect. The world may be full of dark plans and hidden cruelty, but love, when it is true, becomes a light that never fades. Dee learned that real strength is not measured by how much pain one can endure, but by how fiercely one chooses to stand for others, even when afraid. He learned that family is not bound by blood, but by the small acts of care that hold people together, a hand in the rain, a voice calling your name in the dark, the promise never to abandon one another again. And as the sun rose over the quiet village, washing away the night's terror, De finally understood sometimes life leads you through danger, only to remind you what is worth protecting and who is worth living for.